It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Bantha Tracks TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine, indeed. An unusual schedule for us this week. We're coming out live on Wednesday evening instead of the normal Sunday. We're also in a temporary setup as well, as I'm doing some renovating at home, so bear with us if we have any technical problems tonight. And if you're on Twitter and you're seeing us live for the first time, welcome. If you want to comment and be part of the show, head on over to our YouTube and Facebook. And if it's not working on Twitter, we'll try again next time, because we're trying something new there again tonight. But let's get straight into the show and what we've got coming up for you tonight. We're talking about George Lucas's comments about Galaxy's Edge. We're going to have a little look at Regal Robots and New York Comic Con exclusives. We will be checking out and talking about Lego Terrifying Tales that's now streaming on Disney+. Galactic Star Cruiser's got a launch date. It's launching 1st of March next year. Talking of dates, the Book of Boba Fett will arrive 29th of December. We'll look ahead to that. And we've also got a George Lucas Black Series figure on the way from Hasbro, so we'll be taking a little closer look at that, which I know a lot of people will be excited for. We're then going to head on over to Jabba's Court and discuss the recent Disney Plus release, Galaxy of Sounds. Usual business, to get out of the way. Subscribe, ring the bell. If you're on... everything's slowing down on my side, I apologise. Comments, likes, shares are always appreciated. Be part of the show. And whilst everything's breaking, let me jump over to my guest before we lose him. Mr. Mark Newbold. Everything's going wrong, Mark. Help us.
This is my favourite part of the show. It's seeing if you can pull it back together. I love it.
It's live. That's all we can say. It is 100% live. Yeah. Mark, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, very well. Busy, but it's all good. All good.
You're obviously hosting Making Tracks, the Fanta Tracks Radio podcast.
Yeah.
What's happening in the latest episode?
Oh, well, me and Mark go through all the latest news. We pick all the news of the week, so we're chatting about all sorts of stuff on this episode, which came out yesterday. We recently had a roundtable episode for Terrifying Tales, and later this week there's a Visions roundtable from a couple of weeks ago that should get posted up before the end of the week. So, yeah, nice and busy. Nice to get some studio episodes back in, because we've been recording. We were over at Meanwhile in Coventry one episode. I was at Mark's house for his 40th birthday for another. So it's nice to get some studio episodes back in.
Absolutely. So let's jump straight into the news. First up, Mr. George Lucas has been talking about Star Wars, which is always a pleasure. He's been talking about Galaxy's Edge. Did you get a chance to see the little trailer there that was released for the HBO, or sorry, the Hulu?
Yeah.
The Hulu show. It's sort of looking back at Disney's 50 years, and obviously buying Lucasfilm's been a big part of the recent history. Yeah,
the trailer looked fascinating. I really hope to get to see the show at some point. It is coming to Disney Plus, I think, later in the month. So the sooner that comes on, the better. In fact, I think it's within the next couple of days. So I'll definitely be checking that out. But it was just nice to see him. Well, it's just nice to see him for a start. We don't see him that often now that he's enjoying his well-earned retirement. But it was just nice to see him talking about Star Wars again, and just the thought of him walking around the corner like so many people have, and hopefully we will. Next year if we get to Celebration, and just walk around the corner and see that full-size Falcon, which of course he's seen before. The first time we saw a half-size Falcon for Star Wars, he sees a full-size Falcon for Empire. He sees a lovely matte painting for Jedi. But to get to see all of it in its glory, in the setting that it's sitting in, just the thought of George seeing that, I just thought that was too good not to post on the site.
Yeah, and it hits Disney Plus on Friday.
Excellent. Yes, I shall be watching that, definitely.
And I think, it's been elements of controversy as well since Disney bought Lucasfilm. There's been good times, happy times, not so happy times. There's been some snippy comments from George and others at times, and then some comments of high praise. We've seen him happy in the Mandalorian set. We've seen him have slight digs about the sale and what happened afterwards. And I think that's all part of business. And it's good to see George sitting there passing some favourable comments, looking a lot happier with the whole thing with Disney as well.
It must be incredibly difficult to sort of create this sandbox. And he didn't do it on his own. There was people, he had a great team around him to do it. But to build something like that and then willingly sell it on, you know, the way he did, and to still be so associated with it. You know, it's his name in front of every episode. It's Lucasfilm. So he's still connected to it. It must be difficult. So it's nice to see him, you know, bubbling along with something positive in that sense. So, yeah, that was good to see.
Next up, Regal Robot. It's New York Comic Con time. Normally we'd be trying to head out there. World's still playing against us. Still can't travel from the UK to America. That's hopefully going to be resolved in November. So Toy Fair may be a possibility. In the meantime, a lot of things are going online. There's still a lot of New York Comic Cons virtual. A lot of retailers not physically there. I'm thinking Funko is a perfect example. IDW's sort of doing an element present and an element online. And Regal Robot themselves are coming out with more exclusives in their Magnet series, and I've picked up quite a few of these. And they've got New York Comic Con, lovely looking Luke Skywalker Tauntaun, and a Wampa arm, which I thought was genius idea.
I love the thought. I mean, they've done these ranges, as you say, you know, and especially the magnets. Well, you very kindly got me one for Christmas last year. I can't think where it is now. It's behind me somewhere. And they look gorgeous. And I love little fiddly farty things, and magnets are a big thing for me. These rackings are full of them. But Regal Robot does such a great job, and you know, you're confident when you're buying anything they do. It doesn't matter the scale, that the detail and the care and the attention is paramount to them, and absolutely top of the scale for what it can be. So these are fantastic, but I love the thought. I think that's the last in the Beast line, as I understand, but now they're starting off this new Separation collection, which is like, I can't even think what's going to be in there. You know, Anakin's arm, Vader's arm, everybody's arm will be in there, but to start off with the Wampa arm, to marry up to the Tauntaun, it's like you can whack the Tauntaun with the Wampa arm, can't you now, and play Empire Strikes Back. I love it. It's a brilliant idea. I think they're geniuses. I love them.
And I'm looking across, because I'm in a different location, I can look across at my fridge. And I've got a Bantha there. I've got the sort of gargoyle that's on the front of Jabba's, what do you call it? What does Jabba sit on?
His dais.
His dais.
There you go.
That's the one.
There's mine. There you go.
Pride of place in my magnet series is my droid disabler. Again, I've forgotten the proper word for it. I'm having a real bad evening.
Oh, the restraining bolt.
Restraining bolt, that's what I've got. That's my pride and joy, my entire
you love
collection.
Droids.
I hate
you
droids.
love your droids. You love them.
Droids. Next convention I go to, I'm taking that thing with me, and any droid that comes near me is getting the bolt put on it.
I remember you kicking that mouse droid.
I've kicked a lot worse. Next up on Disney Plus, keeping it a distance, keeping it safe from me, Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales. It's Halloween season. You've had a chance to check this out. Once again with the Lego stuff, incredible fun.
Oh, huge fun. I was lucky enough, obviously, ahead of the round table, which came out as an episode a few days ago on Making Tracks. We got to see it, so it was great to see it. It's huge fun. Very similar in one way to what they did last year with the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. It's got that fun vibe. It's a lot of action, but Star Wars has really, we talk about it on the latest episode of Making Tracks, Star Wars has really sort of latched on two things. The Vader's Castle concept as a location to tell stories. Obviously, IDW will be sort of moving out of Star Wars storytelling soon, very sadly. I think their work has been fantastic. I think that's a huge shame. But also, you know, there's been the Lego Vader's Castle, and, you know, obviously you saw it in Rogue One, and this kind of riffs off all of that. And tells three separate little stories, a bit like Treehouse of Horror sort of thing. They've sort of broke it down in that way. Really good fun. Grabullah the Hutt from Lego Freemaker Adventures is in there. it's a bit of everything, but they've really gone for the horror tone. It's not scary, but they've gone for that horror tone. It's really well played.
Yeah, you know, I've kind of loved it since IDW kind of with Calvin Scott, who's a huge Hammer fan, brought the horror stuff to and done it in a fun way because it's aimed at kids in the Vader series. The Vader trilogy in effect he's had for IDW with Ghosts of Vader Castle this year as well, which is coming out right at this very moment. So you've got one issue every week for the rest of the month. I think it is the way they're working it this year, and a lot of fun. Animation's never been my thing, but I do dig the Lego stuff because it's kind of quirky and odd and weird, and I find this to be incredible funny, witty. The animation in it's really good as well. For these things, the Lego seem to turn these things out really fast, and I think the quality of the animation's fantastic on it.
Oh, it's amazing! You're playing the clip now, and just watching it is impressive. The lighting, I think that's the one thing that's improved over more recently. The lighting for all these animated shows, it was the same on Bad Batch. You know, it was just stunning. The quality of animation, the craft and the detail, the movement has been good for years, but the lighting really just seems to set it off, and it does a great job on, like you say, on Terrifying Tales. Yeah,
it's been great fun. Something offline for a change, something that's going to become the physical world. Galactic Star Cruiser is launching 1st of March next year. I've got mixed feelings on this. One, I love the fact there's going to be a Star Wars hotel. In fact, it's going to be an immersive experience. I'm a big fan of Secret Cinema here in the UK.
Yes.
Which obviously did The Empire Strikes Back, but I've been to quite a few more. They've done some incredible stuff. I think having a Star Wars immersive experience like Galactic Star Cruiser is going to be great. I find it odd that you're going to be locked in a hotel effectively for 2 days and you're going to have like a little garden area you can go to, a bit like Big Brother. And I find the costs to be repulsive. But let's focus on the positive to start with.
Yes.
What's your general opinion on the Star Wars hotel that's coming?
When they announced they were doing a hotel, huge excitement. When they announced that it was going to be as expensive as it is, and I think the prices have shown have been sort of the lower tier prices as well, not the sort of the captain's cabins and such. It's been the regular cabins, and their scary sort of vital organ selling cost of sort of a hotel stay for 2 nights and a minimum for 2 nights. But then I think when we sort of touched on it on the latest episode of Making Tracks, I think once you're in there and you start hearing about people who've been, and there's a few people I know that are sort of seriously thinking of going as soon as they can. I think once the word starts to get out and you start to hear how fully immersive it is, you know, you really are in that environment. And all the perks and quirks as well, you know, all the little things that happen and the uniqueness, because by the sounds of it, I think we listed the itinerary on the site not that long ago, and there's lots of different things, and there's moments where you either become a rebel or you become a smuggler or whatever, you know, there's lots of options. I think once people start coming out and going, oh my God, that was amazing, do Fantha Tracks get to go free? Good grief. If only, if only, yeah. Yeah, so, you know, I think it's going to be something spectacular, but yeah, the price is scary, but it'll be booked out as soon as I think the tickets go on sale 28th of October, a bit earlier for sort of Disney, like Visa members and Disney Holiday Club members and such. They can get in a little bit earlier, but I think it'll be booked out for like 18 months before we even have a blink at it.
I think so. You know, I agree with you. The concept sounds great. I'm just so angry at the pricing because I think it prices fans out of it. It makes it for the elite element of the fans, or the fans with that huge expendable income, where I think you could have priced it the same as any other Disney hotel. And it would have been hard to get into, but at least it would have been... fair is probably the wrong word, but it feels like it should be. It just doesn't sit well with me to see Star Wars used really in that kind of way to generate just pure cash. You know, and it's you've got to get the enjoyment back out of it, and I don't think for that kind of elitist element. It's a bit like these NFTs that are all the fashion now. I think it's elitist, and I think it's just people with too much money.
Yeah, I think
harsh
my hope
opinion
is.
on it.
I totally see your point. I totally see your point. I'm hoping that it's such a success and it's booked out so much that the bean counters and decision makers go, wow, we can scale this up. Instead of being 64 rooms, we can make this 264 rooms. And if you're doing that many more rooms, then we can bring the price down because there's all the peripheral stuff. And hopefully it starts to scale down. And, you know, but my head tells me that no matter how much this costs, they'll all, like you just said, there'll always be people who can afford it. And because people can afford it, it justifies the cost. So it's going to be one of those, you know, chicken and egg things, I think, in a degree.
I just think a Disney holiday, as it is a huge, expensive, perhaps one-off trip for most families.
Yeah.
And this just catapults it out of unreachable. I just feel sorry for any parent with a young kid when this hotel's up and running. That young kid's seeing the Disney brochure and wanting to do the Star Wars hotel experience. It's just crazy. Yeah,
it's definitely not cheap.
Something on the more affordable scale. What are we now for Disney Plus? $7.99 a month, something like that.
Yeah,
we've got even more Star Wars content coming this December. The Book of Boba Fett has got a launch date of the 29th. Bit strange that it's the wrong side of Christmas. You would have thought it would have been a nice Christmas family release. But they've called me the 29th, so we shouldn't complain too much. And we've got a poster to go along with it. Your thoughts?
Oh, poster looks great. When this dropped, the internet went kaboom because it's Boba Fett, which always gets interest, and it's a show that we're desperate to see. I'm glad it's, it made me smile that, like you say, it's coming, I think it's a Wednesday again as well, so the 29th, so they've just nudged it into 2021. They've just about kept their promise that you'll see that this year. The majority of it, I think it's 9 episodes, but I can't remember, 8 or 9 episodes, but, you know, the majority of that's going to go into January and February, of course. But yes, Richard, they're mentioning the signing they've got with Tamura Morrison coming up. Yeah, it's massively exciting. There's lots of rumours floating around. I'm trying to steer clear of as much as I can because I'd like to come to it fresh. Yeah, it's looking pretty damn good. And this is just the right tease. I'm hoping we see a couple of clips of it over the next couple of weeks. You know, with New York Comic Con coming up, maybe we'll see something there. Just a teaser, not a full trailer, just a tease, just enough to keep whet our appetites. But yeah, looks good.
We've also got I still call it Shareholder Day for Disney, but they're now call it Disney Plus Day. I think they're calling it.
Right.
November 8th or November 12th.
Yeah.
I can't remember. The day that I'm not getting my carpet fitted in my living room. So one of that dates my carpets gets fitted. The other date is a Disney shareholder meeting. I expect that probably to be the trailer date.
Yeah.
I kind of expected when I saw the poster drop, it's always the indication that the trailer's going to drop later that day. But yeah, it didn't happen. Disappointing.
Yeah.
So I expect all the content to be flung out that day, and we're going to see another big event like we saw last year. Whether that'll be, we see Book of Boba Fett, we see Andor, we see some Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And the rumour is Obi-Wan's a lot further progressing with probably realising we could be seeing that late spring, early summer next year as well. So you could really have Book of Boba Fett rolling into Andor, rolling into Obi-Wan. So you've got Star Wars content every week for better part of start of 2022.
I was on Pete Fletz's fantastic show Around the Galaxy this week. The episode's coming out next week, I believe. But we did get into this, and he referred to 2022 as the year of Star Wars, which I thought was a really good way of putting it in the sense of, you know, Mando Season 3, Bad Batch Season 2, Andor Kenobi, and Book of Boba Fett, essentially. Most of Book of Boba Fett's in that year. So I'm going to do 6-4. There's 5 shows straight away. And then things like Galaxy of Sounds drops and you don't even know it's there until it drops in, and they've done it before with a couple of other shows. So there might be even more than that. So yeah, next year is shaping up to be a very special year, I think.
I think there's a huge amount of documentaries being worked on. And, you know, like we're going to speak about Galaxy of Sound in a moment, but I think we can expect that to be a regular feature going forward on Disney Plus, and a lot of them will drop without notice, I think, as well. Mike Berry Lear's asking a question: are we going to be at MCM Birmingham this year?
Yes, we definitely are. Definitely there. I can't remember whether we're there. I'm there Saturday, I believe. There's another event on that weekend. I'm definitely there on the Saturday. But if the stars align, then I may very well be there on the Sunday as well. But certainly the Saturday. So I'm hoping there's a few Fanthas knocking around. And I think you and me are doing MCM in London, aren't we? Before
hopefully, that. Hopefully, that's the plan. I'll hopefully be back from Middle East for the Saturday.
Excellent. Good.
And Carl's asking, where I was saying there, that he's expecting the next show to air around about Celebration in May. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
wouldn't surprise me that episode 1 was to drop during Celebration.
That's a great call. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that at all. I mentioned New York Comic Con obviously because it's on our mind, because we generally one of us is there, or all of us are there, or we get a good bunch of us there. But I don't know what the Lucasfilm presence is going to be at this show. Maybe it's a bit too soon for Book of Boba Fett, but like you say, that Disney Plus day, because there is that Boba Fett documentary, isn't there? The Boba Fett show that they've sort of talked about, so that might be a good arena to push something out. So yeah, I think you're probably right, actually.
If you're heading to New York Comic Con, check out, look for Big Kev's stuff. I think it's 1754 off the top of my head is the stand number.
Oh, well remembered.
Don't know if it's close to that. It's 17 something. I'm sure.
You won't miss him.
You won't miss him. Yeah. Say hello from us. I don't know what's happening at MCM if there's going to be a limited number of tickets. I kind of expect that there's going to be less tickets available than in previous years, but I don't think the restrictions are too heavy.
I don't think so. It's another Repop event. I mean, they've kept the tickets tight for New York, which makes sense. And everything this year at Comic-Con happens at Javits, from what I understand. They're not doing off-site stuff like they normally do at Madison Square Garden or Hammerstein or anywhere. But I think for MCM, I think they'll probably... I wouldn't expect it to be like 100% capacity. They could certainly sell it because people are gagging to get to a big show. But I don't know. It's certainly worth checking out the site just to have a little look. But I would expect it to be 75% as opposed to 100%. But hopefully it'll be busy and there'll be plenty of people there and we'll have a good time.
Yeah. Next up, George Lucas coming to the Black Series. 2 articles on George in one show.
I know.
Great looking figure. Actually surprised me that Disney would go this direction and feature George so prominently in a release like this, which is kind of a good thing. I kind of wonder whether it came from Hasbro, whether it came from Lucasfilm themselves. Nice as part of the 50th anniversary and acknowledging his massive contribution to everything as well.
Yeah.
And a figure you're going to pick up?
Oh, totally. I've got the George Sakul figure from 2002 on the Attack of the Clones packaging they released way back when. Couldn't not get that on my Celebration shelf over there. And as soon as this was announced, I think everyone started buzzing and chatting about it because, wow, they're doing a George Lucas figure. And some people were a little bit, why are they doing a George Lucas figure when they could be releasing this, that, or the other figure? Hey, it's George Lucas, for goodness sake, and it's the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm. What better time is there ever going to be to release this figure? But like you say, it looks so damn good. I've ordered mine, definitely getting that. I think it's great fun. I can't wait to see this. I might even get 2 so I can open one up and have been walking around my room.
Marcus there's just saying that New York Comic Con's at 50% capacity, which I guess is explaining, like we mentioned earlier, so much is still happening virtually. Surprised it's at that low, but I guess it's the world we're living in at the moment, and New York's maybe come just slightly too quick for everyone, I think. Just maybe a month or so ahead of where people's mindsets are, I think. And in terms of
I think we're all still finding our feet.
Gatherings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think people are still finding their feet with it, just getting used to it. Hello, Marcus, by the way. Good to see you. It's just interesting that people are just getting into the gear, finding the gears again. New York will be very strange because it's just every year it's got bigger. 250,000 the one time, and just stupid numbers. So to scale it back, at least it's happening. Last year it was all virtual, and there's quite a bit of virtual stuff this year. But yeah, 22 will be the real interesting one to look at, see what the numbers are like then. But it's happening. That's good news. Good for Reed as well, obviously.
Yeah, and I think on that note, we should head on over to Jabba's Court for this week's discussion topic. So this week we're discussing Galaxy of Sound, which came out on Disney Plus, and as my whole green screen in the background goes kaput again, there we go, that's better, you don't want to see my curtains. Knew something would go wrong. That's twice. We've got a third one.
This is why we're here.
We're still on air. It's a good. It's working to some extent.
Excellent.
Galaxy of Sound dropped kind of unexpectedly on Disney Plus. There was a little rumble about it beforehand, and then it kind of just dropped out there. Great little series, I thought.
Really was. It really was unexpected, like you say.
Yeah, and it's unusual for, certainly in the Disney Lucasfilm era, for us to get behind the scenes kind of documentaries and effects. So what was your sort of general feelings on this one?
It was just so nicely done. Just the edit, the way they'd edited certain scenes together, just seeing into one another, naturally sort of fit. I mean, it's all the story is one big whole thing. So it was just fascinating to go from picking, Battle of Endor to Battle of Scarif, let's say, and just have sequences edited together so nicely. But the thing that really caught me out was watching these sequences, because the ambient noise of Star Wars is so evocative and it pulls you in so much. And there's moments, especially in A New Hope, there's not a lot of music in the original film. If you look at it's not a lot. I mean, I think it's the shortest of all the films anyway. But a lot of it is just the ambient noise. Ben Burtt, totally. I mean, that film made him obviously, but the work that he did in that film was incredible. As the movies moved on, there was more and more John Williams music. So to go to certain sequences without the John Williams music and just hear the audio was really cool. So I really enjoyed that.
Was there, they've kind of broke it down into a number of segments. Was there one that kind of jumped out at you that particularly grabbed your attention?
What was the first one called? Was it Adventure or Excitement? I can't remember the title of the first one, but it was just so kinetic. I mean, visually it's amazing. It's obviously it's a package, isn't it? Star Wars, and when you start stripping little things away, your head would tell you it would make it less, but it doesn't. It just makes you appreciate what you're missing even more. But I think that first one, because you just move. It was just so busy. It was brilliant, and like I say, whoever did the edit just did a genius job of just piecing these sequences together that some of them were literally made decades apart. And another thing I really liked was that it wasn't just the saga movies, it was the Star Wars stories as well. It was Mando as well. So you kind of feel like you say that, you think there'll be more documentaries coming down the pike. Great, because we just talked about it. You've got Andor coming, Kenobi coming. There's all these other moments. That there's going to be these awesome framing shots that George always used to do with brief. You don't need to do. He always said, you don't need the 10-second beauty shot of the Enterprise docking with Captain Kirk and the shuttle. I love that personally because I consider the Enterprise a character. I'm talking about Star Trek now. Sorry, but in Star Wars, you just need that beautiful establishing shot, and all of them do it to different degrees. And this show kind of picked all those great moments and just, whacked them all together. I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm going to watch them all again.
The first episode was Wonder. The second one was Excitement.
There you go.
I think it's often overlooked the sort of the body of work that Ben Burtt did. But on top of that, around the original Star Wars, the built-up Skywalker sound, which really was a real appreciation of the art of sound. And I think this kind of documentary kind of helped support that whole notion. Something we forget, because even our mobile phones, the sound quality on that is as good as what the technology was back in the 1970s you were getting on big screens. It's really evolved that much with THX, with Skywalker sound, and really placing that emphasis and value into the sound of movies. And I think as part of the legacy of George Lucas, we talk about the special effects, but we talk about the way that he changed the industry again, and the importance that was placed back into music, into sound effects, into the whole body of the movie as an art form in itself. And I think this documentary really was a celebration of that.
Oh, big time! Because, like you say, you sort of tee it up perfectly. That you look at Star Wars, and we look at it as a cultural thing, making something that. Sorry, Matt. making something that, you know, other people just weren't doing in the mid-70s, you know, quite apart from the fact that the film was very much a film of its time. Hi, Paul. You know, and so, you know, Lucas goes back to the symphonic score, which other sci-fi filmmakers and fantasy filmmakers were kind of moving away from. And then the emphasis on the sound, the emphasis on, you know, the quality of the audio, the sound effects as much as the visual effects or special effects, as I think they still call them then, you know, and it was such a package, Star Wars, that then, of course, everything just exploded from there, and every other major motion picture benefited from it. You know, the first movie to use Dolby Stereo, I think, wasn't it, Star Wars? You know, or it was just all these things that it did for the first time, and it still gets pitched as like the little movie that could sort of thing. It's like, actually, this film was way more savvy and ready than anybody was ever expecting. But yeah, you're right. This documentary, or this series rather, sort of really hones in on, you know, the quality of the sound that sometimes gets overlooked.
Yeah, and it was really THX back then. It was a driver for, you always used to get the trailer before the movies for THX.
Yeah.
And you still, in most cinema chains, they'll do something in terms of, I don't know, my local cinema's got the horrible one where they switch off all the lights and it's pitch black and the guy with the booming voice. We've probably all experienced that one in the UK. I hate it. I wish they'd do something new. But,
yeah.
You know, that's one of the big selling points of modern day cinema now is the quality of the sound. And I just love this documentary, touching different ones. I'm just going to read through the episodes. There was wonder, there was excitement, dark side, light side, beeps. Ignore beeps because it destroys.
You love it.
Connections and oddities. And I loved it. Would love to see more kind of that kind of documentaries around the different departments. I don't think we see enough of that. We don't hear enough of it, especially since they've done away with sort of making of books, and really celebrate, you know, the talent that's behind the film, because you've got 500-600 people working on a production at any one kind of point. Let's highlight some of their roles and some of the things that they do.
Absolutely, and in sense of doing something new in that style for Disney Plus, Biomes was wonderful, and they definitely need to do more Biomes. Vehicle fly-throughs, that's an endless list of stuff they can go to. I think they did the Falcon and the Star Destroyer. There's so much more they could do with those. They were brilliant, so hopefully they'll drop quietly. Nice. They'll drop quietly, and you know, and we'll see more of that. This again, you know, there's so many avenues that could go down with this. As just about 2022 is going to be a bonkers crazy year for Star Wars with the amount of content, and then it's the year after that we get Rogue Squadron and goodness knows what else. So yeah, these kind of, they're sort of setting their stall in certain areas, and as you say, Galaxy of Sound is definitely one that they can further explore.
So we're going to call that a wrap for tonight. Thank you for joining me, Mark. We're going to be back on
My pleasure.
Sunday. Obviously today we had the very sad news about Gerald Home, so we're going to do a discussion on Gerald on Sunday and about his life, his legacy, and what he meant to us, because I know so many of us met him at conventions down the years. I know a few of you have put your comments on the show tonight, so I appreciate that. Join us on Sunday. We'll have a good segment on that, and we'll be looking at Star Wars Visions as well. Back Sunday 9 o'clock in the evening in the UK. I think that's 4 o'clock in New York, and wherever you are in the world, you'll be able to figure it out from those times, hopefully. Mark, thanks for joining me again tonight on
always a pleasure
evening for us. We don't normally do midweek, and we'll be back to the usual schedule Sunday. And thanks everyone, guys, for your thoughts and comments throughout the show.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on PanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at Pantha Tracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow Pantha Tracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live shows.